Hello everyone. I know I promised this a little while ago when I first became a Stampin' Up demonstrator that I was going to do a Take to the Sky scrapbook guide workshop using the fabulous Take to the Sky papers. There's been quite a lot going on since coming over from close to my heart, and I have enjoyed every little bit of playing with the new Stampin' Up products that I have ordered. I had these ideas in my head for a while. It just took me a little time to get around to doing them. So I'm going to show them today, and I will have a link below in the description for all the details about the scrapbook guide if you want to check that out. It's a full cutting guide, full color and detailed instructions on how to put everything together. And I also share what added elements that I have used to put onto my pages. But first, I just want to give you a quick refresh on what is in this wonderful paper pack. I've fanned everything out here so you can see. These are double-sided pages. There are 12 in the pack, and there are patterns on each side of them. The only ones that I didn't quite use all of the paper was this gorgeous matte paper and also this plain paper here. The other side of that is this gorgeous typography paper, and the other side of this one is the blue check paper. I do have a couple of these images here that aren't used. I have used all of the tags, and I have used this in maybe what is an unexpected way, and also this piece here. But you've always got this side of the paper with these leftovers that you can use. But there's not a lot left over from all 12 sheets of this. I was originally just going to use 6 of the pattern papers, but once I started cutting this up and creating the layouts, I just couldn't stop. So let's have a look at what I've created with this. I'm also going to bring in the additional items that I've put onto these layouts. You can see this one here is pretty much travel themed, and I hosted a 10-person weekend retreat just recently, and everybody was gifted with this paper pack and the scrapbooking guide, and one of the girls did these pages and put her photos on them straight away, and I will put in the little screen up here a photo of what she has used this for, and it doesn't have anything to do with planes or anything like that. It's her son going away on school camp, and it just works so well. She's rotated this piece around so that you can see in the picture up here. And that's what I love about seeing layouts when people have used my scrapbook guides. Their interpretation, and they make it fit for their photos. I've used the tags that I showed you, and you might be wondering where these things came from. Now, throughout this scrapbook guide, I have used these, what were close to my heart stamp sets that hadn't been released as yet, and Stampin' Up brought them over. And I've just checked online, and this one has just become unavailable, but I'm sure you'll have plenty of these types of stamp sets in your collections of stamps to use. I love using this sort of stamp set because they create not only a title, but other little elements here that you can stamp onto tags or onto journaling boxes or make little strips of them. And you'll see that throughout this scrapbook guide that I have used these sort of enhancements to embellish the page further. I've gone with the Adventurous Sky stamp set for this for my embellishments because that just matched in with this, and I really love the planes. And you can purchase this with a bundle with the dies, and you'll see that I have used this die here later on one of the layouts, but not all of my pages are travel related. I might have something a little bit surprising in here that you may not have thought of using this paper pack for. I'm just going to bring this up here. These have been watercolored just with the ink from the ink pad, and I've used a water brush on those. And I love the linen thread that Stampin' Up carry. It really is versatile. I love the neutral color of that. And tearing these here, I'll give you a little tip of what I've done with that. If you have a long ruler like this, you can just put that on an angle and then do a controlled tear with that. If you don't have one that isn't quite that long, you can start off with a normal ruler and then move it down. But I have all the measurements on how to get this exact tear here so that Australia's down in this corner here. I didn't want to cover that bit up. It's not often when we have a matte paper that Australia makes it on. It's usually the North American side. So I was a little bit excited that this was in here. I've used the textured metallic dots all the way through this. I love them. They just have a little bit of texture on here, and they go with so many paper packs. So that's layout 1. So there are 5 double page spreads and 1 title page or 1 single page. For layout 2, I've brought in the Spotlight on Nature dies, and I've basically used the die here that doesn't actually cut holes in the paper. I've used the largest one and the mid-size one here to create these circle elements, and I love the movement that that brings in. You can see one of the camera stamps here, and you'll notice there is tearing on this page as well. So basically I have distressed it with scissors as well, and also folded it back with my fingers. So I haven't been gentle with the paper at all, but that's totally your choice as to whether or not you like this paper torn look. It does add a little bit of dimension to the page. If you don't want that, just cut them straight and adhere them as is. And here's that die cut that I was talking about here. I have used, I think it was charcoal paper, because I don't have all of the Stampin' Up cardstock yet, although I am accumulating some. But the body of the plane, I have cut from this paper from the paper pack. So that looks really, really cool on here. You can actually stamp this sort of effect with the stamp set, and I can find it. You can see that here gives the metal sort of look if you wanted to stamp the piece and then die cut it out. But I've used the paper here, and I think that's a really cool effect on this. I've inked the edges again. All of the pattern papers have got inked edges on this, and these are more words and pieces from these two sets here. I have combined some of the titles and mixed and matched them throughout, but there are full colour photos in the guide. And this is sort of like a banner strip here and a large piece here just for one photo, but you could definitely put 2 photos on this section and you can fit more photos on here. The layouts that I do generally have room enough for you to add additional photos. And with this one, with the matting, you can see I've got a partial matte around the bottom corners here. I really love that effect. I haven't got it across the top or the middle because I wanted this to be continuous throughout with just white. And I just love the outside edge and the bottom edge here with the pine cardstock that I've used. So now I'm going to show you something that might be a little unexpected. I just love this layout. I saw the cloud paper, and yes, you could use it for travel photos, but I instantly thought baby photos. So I've brought in the cutest onesie. This is such a cute, sweet little stamp set, and the dies are wonderful. You can see all the dies here that you can add. You can add a 1, 2, 3 onto the little onesie. I've got a coat hanger here that I have die cut and slipped into the little onesie suits here, and I've done that with the silver foil cardstock, and I've just used the stamp set, and I didn't realize until later there is a little placard here with the little buttons, so you could stamp that onto these little onesies as well. These 3 onesies are all cut from the pattern papers. So I've cut that from the grey cloud, I've cut this onesie from this gingham piece here, and this one I've positioned strategically so that it has a little plane on the front of the onesie. And I've also used the Stamp and Blend markers, one of the grey ones, to just give a little bit of shadow around the edges of all of these onesies here, just to add a little bit of dimension. And so that they have a place to sit, I've brought in the nested dies, and I've used, I think, the largest one, or the second largest one. I think it's the second largest one. And I've just tucked those under in areas here and inked the edges with sapphire ink, just so that the inking is continued throughout the whole of this scrapbook guide, and just added a little bit of Harbour along each edge of these, just so that this large banner here has somewhere to sit, and it finishes off the edge on this right side. The little hearts, they are stamped from that same little cutest onesie set. So I really use that quite a bit, and I've got another layout later on using this little onesie set. It really is adorable. It's perfect for cards, but I love it on a little baby page. I've done paper tearing here as well. You can see on the edges of all the pattern papers, and a grid style format for the photo placement for both of these layouts. So let's go on to layout 4, and I love the Cajun Craze colour here. And this one isn't actually on an angle, so this side, I'll just straighten this up. This is straight, and then this one here I've put on an angle. Now, for those of you that don't like putting photos and papers on an angle, you can definitely straighten this up to suit what you like to do. This train here, Greatest Adventure, I absolutely love how that stamps up. I've stamped this onto the glass mat, and it's got perfect texture and detail. So I'll just bring that up so that you can have a look at the image here. But of course, you can decorate these layouts with whatever stamp sets you have. I just like to showcase a variety of stamps throughout my scrapbooking guides, which I've been doing quite a bit lately because we don't have the sticker sheets that we have been used to having with a paper collection that Close to My Heart used to do. These little banners here, that's using this nested dies again. So you can see these ones here. I absolutely love the stitch detail on this and the amount of banners you get. So there are 4 banner dies, 4 of these rounded rectangles and 4 of these gorgeous shapes. I know I need to use that to do something with it very soon. And what I've done for this one is just torn away pieces behind here to bring in a little bit more of this orange check here. This one is quite paper heavy, but I wanted to just add that little accent on this page just to bring a little bit more of the orange pattern across. You can see I've got paper tearing here. I've not been gentle. You can see this is torn and it's very roughed up. After I've cut it, I've used scissors on it and then I've run my fingers along it and then I have gone through and really got into the paper, bending these up a little bit just to give it a really rustic look. And when I saw this stamp set, I instantly thought of Harry Potter type photos, or here in Victoria, we have Puffing Billy. And then I did go on the White Rail Pass train ride in Skagway when I was in Alaska. So I think I'm going to use that on those pages as well. So that's 3 different things that you could use for this stamp set, but you could also use the trains and the planes on children's photos as well when they're playing with their toys. I think most of us that have had children have all had train sets in the house and have photos of our children playing with them. So I think that's 4 different uses for scrapbook layouts that you can definitely use for this stamp set. Okay, layout number 5 is very much camera heavy. A lot of you know that I can't resist a camera stamp. So I decided that I would make a feature of it in a cluster on this page here. And I love this typography type blue paper that I've used in the background, and I've paired it with Close to My Heart charcoal paper, and of course you can see I've got the titles going through here. This stamp set I absolutely love because it had 3 different styles of cameras, but what drew me to it were these 2. If you were lucky enough to get this set, don't just think about using one camera on a page. I think they look great as a cluster. And I know I've got film strips and other cameras in other stamp sets, but this one to me, I loved all the sayings and everything here. And you can see I've used this part here to do a little bit more decoration for some background stamping for the cameras to belong on. And now I'm going to go on to layout 6, which is like a title page. Or it could be a closing page in an album. Just stamping these little onesies straight onto white paper and doing minimal colouring with them. I think it dresses this up really well. I've used some leftover pieces of the pattern paper here to create my own washi tape. I've inked all the edges and I've torn this, and I've also torn the outside edges of these 2 pieces of pattern paper. And I do love how this comes together. Of course, you could definitely make this into a double page spread. There are some strips left over of this cloud paper, but I wanted an opening or an ending page to a baby album rather than making it into a double page spread. So that's what I have to show you for my take. Whoops, got those around the wrong way. Let's put them back the right way. That's what I have to show you for my Take to the Sky layouts. I'm just going to bring these back in. And for the remainder of August, I just want to remind you that this paper is on special at 15% off. So there's a whole heap of designer series papers that are 15% off at the moment. So don't miss out on that special. And also, if you have bonus buys coupons, you have to use them by the end of August. So if you earned those in July, don't forget to use the bonus buy coupons on your next order. Maybe you'll add some of this Take to the Sky paper in there. It is one of my favourite designer series papers in the annual catalogue. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, happy crafting and bye for now.